Case, you know what that song means?
Hey, it's another edition of Citizen Watch, the Thursday night guilty pleasure, the January 23rd show. We welcome everybody to KYOS, AM 1480, the voice of the valley, the power of local radio. We have in studio Robert the Velvet Sledgehammer Tomasetti, the best engineer in the business, Steve Colvard, and I am
Fozzie the Bear.
Broadcasting here from the freezing zone. We're having a little Arctic cold snap. It's with the wind chill, I think we're at 0 now.
Well, it's sunny and 70 here, Case.
Well, thank you. And no water.
We're going golfing.
It's cold here and no water.
What are you talking about? I got a glass of water right here.
Yeah, well, you have a glass, but
enjoy it while you can.
I want to thank everybody who's listening to us, and I want to give a special shout out to a listener that's been following us from the beginning, Momo the Roach. He's a really good listener, and he gives us a lot of good feedback, and he has a local connection to one of our hosts.
My brother Vinny.
My brother Vinny.
And that's not Mr. Scambray, that's my brother Vinny.
You know, and in that vein, we are on YouTube, folks. If you're listening to this and you want somebody else to listen to it, and they can't tune in Tuesday and Thursday night at 9, Saturday at 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. to listen to the repeats, you can go on YouTube, punch in Citizen Watch with Robert Tomasetti or any one of our last names, and you will come up on the shows. We have more hits. It's unbelievable. We have, I think, approaching 400 hits on the few shows that we have. This has only been up since the middle of January, so I'm really proud of our listeners and people turning each other onto this show. Again, if you have a tip for our show, call our tip line, 209-406-8728. That's 209-406-8728. You can leave a message. You can send a text. You can talk to somebody in person. We have a web address. I think it's Citizen Watch. What is our email, Robert?
Citizenwatchmerced.
Citizenwatchmerced, all one word, at yahoo.com. Yep. Again, we really would encourage people to interact with us. Let us know where we're headed. If you have something you'd like us to talk about, I know we've been on the school district, Merced Union High School District specifically for a few shows, and we're going to try to not talk all about that, but we do have some follow-up. One of the good things, folks, is Robert found his day planner. So all of you looking for that reward, I'm sorry, it's been plain. Where did you finally find it, Robert?
I'm having a little. I have allergies today, and I'm sorry, folks, but I might have to take a break to cough.
Where'd you find your day planner? Was the question.
You know, Steve Colvard, he invited me to go to Merced Millennium Sports Club, which is now In Shape, and he whipped my butt in tennis, and I was depressed. So I went to Taco Bell. I left my day planner at Taco Bell, and you know what was amazing about Taco Bell?
What?
Okay, I got to tell you, I left my day planner in 2 places. One, I left it at Taco Bell. Total strangers. What do? They just zipped it up. They put a little note on it. Customer left it. There was $150 in there. So the guy says, "Can you tell me what was in it?" So I give it to him, and I go, $150. And he goes, "Wow." And I was like really astounded that kids at Taco Bell, the employees at Taco Bell, wouldn't rifle through it. Then I left my day timer somewhere else, and my friends rifled through it. "Oh, there's personal information. We wanted you to have it." I go, "How'd you know there's personal information?" We looked.
Yeah, we looked. Well, now that they've raised the minimum wage, maybe $150 isn't as much as it used to be, but it does go to the integrity of the employees, and so big kudos and a shout out to the. Was that the G Street Taco Bell, Robert?
That was the G Street Taco Bell, but I got to tell you, I think it's really, I'm enjoying going to fast food. I'm enjoying Kentucky Fried Chicken. Of course, I love McDonald's. Raised with McDonald's. Right. Momo DeRoche will tell you we've been to the first McDonald's in Des Plaines, Illinois, and I think that the kids that they hire are just really starting to be. Very moralistic.
Take pride in what they do, and take pride in what they do, and personal integrity.
Yes.
Well, they're learning responsibility, and it just goes to show that not everybody. We do like to say the positive things, and I just think that goes to the integrity of the employees over there at the G Street Taco Bell.
And
so
kudos.
You put that back to Robert, because he was beside himself, folks. He didn't know which way to turn.
And kudos to those young men and women's mom and dad, because that's where it starts, right in the home there.
That's right. They instilled some very good.
You don't think it was the high school
values.
teachers that they teach them?
Yeah, nah. Well, could be. I mean, that.
You know
adds
me,
to it,
sarcasm, guys.
I know.
Well, as the 3 most eligible bachelors in Merced, we do eat a lot of fast food, so you'll see us.
If you're so eligible, what are you doing in Oklahoma?
I eat a lot of fast food here too. Trust me.
That's not what I'm saying. I said if you're so eligible, what are you doing in Oklahoma?
You better take the fifth. You better take the fifth on that case.
Here. You never know what you might find in the Great Plains but it's too cold. Nobody's out. I want to also thank. I don't know if people had a chance to listen to our other show this week on Tuesday. We had a couple of great guests come in studio. Actually, a third one kind of surprised us at the end. But we had Tim O'Neill, former school board member with Merced Union High School District. We had Roger Wood, a scion in the community. He has another show on KYOS, Community Conversations. He came in, and then at the end, we had Dr. Steve Gomes, Merced County Office of Education. Always a pleasure to have Dr. Gomes in from Planet X. He did a lot of good things out there. Now he's at the helm of the 20 school districts there in our county, and we appreciate him coming in. And we did have a couple of follow-up things, though, we wanted to talk about just to clear the air on that interview. And, Robert, you want to take that?
Well, what happened was Roger Wood and Tim O'Neill, well, especially Tim O'Neill, he wrote in an editorial piece in the Merced Sun-Star praising the superintendent. And there happens to be a rift in philosophy. Who runs the school district, the school boards or the superintendents? They tend to side with the superintendents. Well, Tim O'Neill, I like Tim O'Neill. I would do business with Tim O'Neill any day. Tim O'Neill is a very gracious man. He's a very honest man. But I think he's all wet on his support of the superintendent of Merced Union High School. I believe that a school board is responsible. They do not. And so they were here so that we could have a gentlemanly debate. But what happened is when things came up, I was told I was wrong. Now, folks, I get my feedback from sources, people that write us, people that give me email, people that call me. I don't know this information to be spot on accurate, spot on perfect. Okay, so what I do is I go with my gut and I listen to things, I look into things, and then I get general. So 3 things that bugged me was, first of all, Tim O'Neill is very instrumental in Mr. Scambray coming here. Tim O'Neill was very instrumental in pushing Mr. Scambray's philosophy when he was on the school board. So what he said is the first thing I took objection to is I said that Mr. Scambray likes to, if he likes somebody, they get promoted. If he doesn't like somebody, out the door you go. And Tim said, are you telling me that Mr. Scambray, he would hire people that he likes? Absolutely. Leonard Kahn, the CBO, is a great example. They come as a tandem. Now, the school district didn't hire Leonard Kahn and them together. Mr. Scambray brought him up here. Mr. Scambray is notorious for people who cross him or don't like him, for him being a bully and showing him the door. That is just a general consensus at Merced Union High School District. So I didn't agree with Mr. O'Neill. The other thing I didn't agree with Mr. O'Neill is they were saying that there was a $140 million bond float. Now, my contention was Atwater High School was owed a gym.
Merced High School.
Right. Measure M.
And a couple swimming pools.
A bunch of stuff. Measure M money was touted in Atwater and promoted in Atwater that you were going to get a gymnasium. So the people in Atwater said, good, we'll get our piece of the pie. So what happened, what I said was that the money that was supposed to go to Atwater High School's gym and Merced High School's gym was hijacked to go to El Capitan. Well,
that's right.
Mr. O'Neill on the radio said, no, you're wrong. And I said, well, tell me where I'm wrong. So he proceeded to explain that we had a $140 million bond float. Because the prices of homes went down, the collateralization only allowed for a certain percentage of the $140 million, so they had to prioritize.
And we could never figure out what that exact number was, could we?
No, but I got close.
Now we know.
But I got close. So anyways, So anyway, so I objected, and I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, we had a priority list, and because El Capitan came with a $36 million bonus from the state, matching funds, and Livingston had matching funds, we went after the matching funds, and yes, Atwater lost a gym temporarily, he said, and so did Merced lose a gym. And I said, well, that's exactly what I said, but maybe not in the exact same words, but you took a priority, and you put the money towards El Capitan and other projects, and not Atwater High School gym or Merced High School gym. So I took offense to that. And then the other thing that I took offense to is at the end, when we were having our debate, they were arguing about, since Mr. Scambray's here, the Merced High School test scores, the API test scores have been rising, and they're at highs, So I looked, they circled a piece of paper for me. They showed me a prospectus, and I'm reading it. And then we lost track of time and we got done. I'm reading this thing and I realized that, this is from 2012, the information they're giving us. So I investigate and I find out that, yes, in fact, 2013 did not go up. It actually went down. So I'm like, guys, statistics lie and liars use statistics. And so what was given to us is only partial information about the testing scores. Now, here's what else I found. And I told them that I thought that testing, the way they're doing it, the API tests, are in error because you're teaching to a test. Steve Gomes at the end said, I don't like the API test, and they're going to scrap it because it's not a overall good determination. It's partial, but there's more things that they should be looking at, to evaluate a school. And so I was trying to push that because I'm like, look, if API exit exams for the high school kids is such a great measuring stick, why are they scrapping it? Why are they going to something else? So Mr. Wood and Mr. O'Neill were flogging the test scores. And I found out that, yes, in 2011 and 12, they did go up, and that's what they showed us. But 2013 went backwards. So I was given access to an email. I don't have exactly where this is from. It's not on the bottom, but somebody had said, hey, why don't you take a look at this? Oh, EdSource was it, the EdSource, and it's for education. And it says, real quickly, Common Core standards bring dramatic changes to elementary school math. This is just math. And it says that what they're trying to do is they're trying to give them a greater depth and understanding that's needed in order to learn. It says, while the old standards were criticized for excessive reliance on memorizing certain facts or procedures. I kept telling the guys, you're teaching to a test. You are letting these kids memorize stuff so that they can get these better test scores. But when you apply these principles and apply them in college, they're no good. They're not up to standards. It says it's easy to focus on memorization and facts and memorization of procedures without really identifying the important theories behind them and teaching concepts to students. Memorization has never been the best way to learn math, but it was enough to meet many of the school standards. So, folks, I wasn't all wet. And, I thought if I held my own with people that were out of the realm. And you know what? They were great. But, folks, you need to use your head. You need to look into things. If you got kids that are going to the schools, look into things. Don't just take things for face value.
Yeah. Don't blindly follow what people tell you. We get a little heat sometimes for maybe going after school people. They have a lot of clout in the community. Well, we expect accountability. When we're looking at a state, the great state of California, the Golden State, the 8th largest economy in the world if we were a country, and we're 46, folks, 46 out of 50 states in education. We're turning out dummies. And you can disagree with me all you want, but the numbers speak for themselves. Now, we may be doing a little bit better in Merced County, but overall, we're 46 in the nation. Let's talk about the world. The United States is a C+ compared to the rest of the world. So we do have problems here in the United States. We have problems in California, and more pointedly, we have problems in Merced County. And we just want to see our kids, as Mr. O'Neill said, the whole issue is doing what's best for the children. Yeah. And we really do want to do what's best for the children, and we expect accountability. And we'll get off of the pulpit when we start seeing better kids coming out. Science, technology, engineering, math. Those are the type of things we need to promote in our county. Those are the type of things that have been deficient. It's not about, hey, I haven't had a raise in 7 years. Well, guess what? A lot of people lost everything they owned in the last 7 years. So you're not going to get any crocodile tears from me over that. What I expect is kids that we can put out in the world that are going to make us competitive, not future residents of the UP estates.
But here's the thing, though, Case, and let's the listeners know, Merced Union High School District is constantly in the news because of turmoil and their leadership and the vision and the money grab. And so that's why we go after, that's why we go after.
We follow the smoke.
We follow the smoke. I don't hear anything about Merced City Schools except their new bond issue. I will look in that with Mr. Spicer. But you don't hear Mrs. Duran's name in the paper with possible misguidance. You don't hear, the school districts in La Grande.
Didn't you actually hear the word king when it came to the Merced Unified School District?
Well, it was characterized, and this is the problem, okay? And this is it. And I know Tim O'Neill backs Scott Scambray, but Mr. Scambray is a loose cannon. I heard that when he's in meetings, he gets up, paces around when he gets upset. I noticed he got upset when I called him by his name, Vinny. Okay, I also heard that, and I heard it characterized that, you know what? The high school district needs a superintendent, not a king.
And that's going to take us to our first break. You're listening to Citizen Watch here on 1480 AM KYOS. Hang around. We will be right back.
Yes, we will.
Poltergeist.
Hey, here we are. Back from the break, folks, on KYOS, AM 1480, the voice of the valley, the powerhouse of radio. You got the three amigos here, Robert Tomasetti, I'm Casey Steed, and, of course, the best engineer in all of California, Steve Colvard, running the board and giving his comment. And, Steve, you mentioned something about this $140 million Measure M money, how much is really left. When they came to the taxpayers, they had a wish list of things they wanted to do.
Yeah, that was one thing that I took from the conversation with Mr. O'Neill and Mr. Wood on Tuesday, I believe it was the bond float that paid for ultimately El Capitan, and they also mentioned that there was some great stuff done out in Livingston High School, which thumbs up, great thing. Yes. But when that original bond float, that $140 million bond float was sold to the public, it included the people of Atwater and the people of Merced, obviously, who understood that by voting yes on that bond float, they would receive a gymnasium at Merced High School, and the people of Atwater would receive a gymnasium at Atwater High School. And Merced High School. And then in addition to that, I think Roger mentioned that there was 2 swimming pools included in that bond. And my concern is that original $140 million, because if you remember correctly, I was trying to ask them, how much did we actually collect on that bond? How much actually went towards each project? How much do we have left after now that property values are back up, they can kind of backfill that bond. So if they only collected $90 million per se, they still got $50 million they can collect with that original bond issuance. And I just want to make sure that whatever the balance is, whatever is left in that original $140 million bond is enough to provide what they promised when they sold the bond to us, the taxpayer. It should include 2 gymnasiums, one at Atwater High School, one at Merced High School, and 2 swimming pools. And I'm going to be very vigilant and aware that when the school board comes out with another bond float, which I'm sure is coming, I think they actually have one in the cooker right now for $115 million.
Different school district. Wait, Steve. Make sure that's a different school district. That's Merced City Schools.
Okay.
What happened was they did the bond float for 140. They got approval for 140 million. They got short of that because there was not enough collateralization to get the whole 140 million. So what I was concerned about is these were based on 2007 numbers.
Do we know the number? Do we know what they were actually able to borrow against that bond float originally?
No, but I do know how much they spent. Okay, so what happened was I got a laundry list. Okay, Merced High School, they spent $1.2 million. El Capitan, $89.4 million.
Does that include the $36 million from the state?
I'm assuming so. All I know is
we can knock that down $36 million. So out of that bond, they spent roughly $50 million. Correct?
No,
because if the total price tag was 86 and they got 36 from the state of California, then they only had to spend $50 million from the bond. Let's
do it this way. Let me tell you straight up. Measure M money that was used was $127.4 million. Now, how much of it was matching, I do not know. I only can surmise that Livingston's got some matching and El Capitan, so it gives us some room left. Okay, but what they didn't tell you, they spent $1.4 million at Atwater, $2.4 million at Buhat Colony, $2.4 million at Golden Valley. Excuse me, folks. So, anyways, I added up the numbers, and they came $127.4 million that they used from Measure M. How much
And
of
is
it?
Measure M the bond float we're talking
Yes,
about?
but how much they got, which was ours, that I was not to ascertain. But I'm sure that if I send a nice little email to Mr. Kahn, he can help me out because, of course, he wants what's good for the school district.
But what I'm alerting is the taxpayer to expect that on that
and that was
Measure M, that
yes.
original bond float, you still have 2 gymnasiums coming out of that and 2 swimming pools that we know of.
So if they go and get the rest of the money and they get $40 million, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, folks. In 2018, 2019, or whenever the heck they're going to build these things, they're going to come back with hat in hand and go, but guys, you got to remember and you got to realize that in 2007, the cost of a gym was $15 million. Now this is 2018. Surely you understand that the price has gone up threefold or twofold, and now we need more money. And when I asked that
off a cliff, we shouldn't fall for that. And what we're trying to summarize is they're going to come. They came to us with a laundry list on Measure M, and they didn't get all the laundry done. And we don't have enough money. We don't have enough soap in the machine to finish the laundry. And this is wrong, and people need to be aware of that, is where your money's going, where the accountability is, and that's what we're all about on Citizen Watch.
Well, here's the thing, Case. Like Merced City Schools wants to float a $115 million bond, and this was my argument from the get-go. These people use a priority list if the money is not there. In other words, with cost overruns, we expected 115, we need 145. They're going to come with a laundry list in hand and say, this is what we want to do. Hold them accountable to that laundry list.
Right.
If I'm an Atwater citizen, you came to me with Measure M and said, if you vote for this, you get a gym. Mm-hmm. 7 years later, there's no gym. Okay, right. So to me, if I'm an Atwater resident, I'm thinking Measure M, I got jobbed. Now, yeah, sure, they say they're going to give you a gym in the future, and there's promises, and there's hope, but the fact of the matter was the 2 gyms were not built, and El Capitan was a monument, was a Taj Mahal for Mr. Scambray and his folks, who just loved that school.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if folks didn't read the paper this week, you know, the Merced Union High School District has put all their eggs literally in one basket over there at El Capitan. There are some parents that are very upset that Merced High School over there on Olive Avenue and Golden Valley over there on Parsons, they don't have the Chromebooks. They don't have the glass classroom. They don't have all of the technological advances that the kids over there at El Capitan. Do we have 2 sets of standards in the same school district?
Yeah,
Are we discriminating against certain kids because they can't get out to El Capitan and they have to go to Golden Valley and Merced High School? Are they getting less of an education than the kids at El Capitan? Is that responsible leadership?
Yeah, but responsible leadership comes in all forms, and we understand that Mr. Scambray is not a responsible leader. I mean, you know that I'm sitting here with a document from Labor Commissioner showing that...
But that's an opinion, Robert. I mean, to make a blanket statement like that, I mean,
well, let me ask you this.
Obviously, Mr. O'Neill thinks it's responsible leadership. I mean,
really?
Would you admit that there could be differing opinions on this?
No.
Okay.
My point is yeah, you're right. It's different opinions, but the whole point of the matter is, I talked to the man and said, "How you doing, Vinny?" Which is his name, and the guy went nuts. Now, if that's a loose cannon, he fires this person, he fired that person, he feels threatened, right. He does this, he does that. Is that? I mean,
I understand what you're saying, but I think beyond that, you have numbers in front of you that kind of illustrate our concerns.
One thing Mr. O'Neill said is, "Hey guys, hey, you're missing the point. We provided jobs to people during one of the greatest recessions." And we have some differences with that. They were providing jobs. Were they paying enough?
Well, here was the deal. I'm sitting on a document from the Labor Commissioner of the State of California, and it's civil wage and penalty assessment against the awarding body, which is Merced Union High School District, for the amount of, are you ready for this, the case? Are you standing or sitting?
I'm sitting.
For the amount of $568,245.93 for not prevailing, for first of all, failure to pay prevailing wage. Okay, failure to pay required overtime and double work time. Okay, those are technicalities, okay? But the one that really jumps out at me is violation of Labor Code 1776, failure to provide certified payroll records upon request. And that was a penalty of $459,900. Now, again, we said, where did the $489,000 come from? From PG&E. Now we know what they're going to do with it. They're going to pay off this debt. I mean, come on. That's $1 million, folks, of people that are not paying attention.
That's ineptitude. That's not running an organization. Somebody was responsible for that aspect.
Well, I'll tell you one
the
thing.
awarding body has the responsibility. The way contracting works, folks, is if I have $1 million to spend, everybody I hire, I have to make sure that they're paid what they're supposed to be paid, especially when you talk about prevailing wage. So even though this filters from the school district to a general contractor to a subcontractor to labor ready, the school district is ultimately responsible when they pay that money, and they're supposed to withhold any monies until those requirements are satisfied. That didn't happen in this case, and now the school district is looking at having to withhold $585,000 if they haven't already from these people to make this right.
And this kind of points to the bigger point that I think, at least I try to make
real quick, and then you make your point. When I went to the Merced Union High School District, they had an issue there about getting a competitive bid for IT upgrades, and Chromebooks. And I watched Mr. Khan, I watched the board go, well, did we get a competitive bid? And I watched Mr. Khan, the CBO go, no, we got one bid. Now, Mr. Honey sat there and said, wait a minute. I don't feel comfortable with only one bid. Don't you usually get a couple? Let's withhold this until we get a couple of bids. So here's my point. Everybody complains about they award contracts here and they award contracts there. You got a guy sitting there in the Merced Union High School District meeting saying, for the IT and for the Chromebooks, we got one bid. You're like, well, what else are you one bidding?
I also heard some instances about how the way they chose to furnish the building too. As far as local
bids were low, we're missing.
But again, these are allegations that we can't substantiate. We can't assign a motive to them. But what we can do is we can look at the results, and the results of something like this, where because of someone's ineptitude, someone not keeping the proper records that were necessary, it's going to cost us, the taxpayers of Merced County, $500,000. And it's this callousness that this lack of stewardship of the public dollars that, if we don't do it right and we do get fined, it's no skin off our nose. We're not going to get penalized for it. There's no one going to be held accountable for it. We'll just jack up, a half-cent sales tax, or we'll go float another bond issue. We'll pay it off because it ain't our money. It's the taxpayer money. And it's that mentality that pervades every level of government in this country that I think has to stop. These cost overruns. The Bay Bridge, they come in with a $1 billion bid for it. It ends up costing $7 billion, and there's no accountability for that. Just time after time, case after case, the big dig in Boston. I mean, you can just cite example after example after example of how inept our government handles the taxpayer dollar, and how offensive it is for them to come back after treating our dollars like that and ask for more money. Enough is enough. It's time to hold these people accountable for at least acting in a professional manner. When you sign a contract with somebody, you expect it. You don't change orders and all this other stuff that they throw because it ain't their money. It's the taxpayer money, and it's infinite, and it's endless.
Well, here's
until that mentality changes.
How about personal gain? How about people that I heard from a school district use school district money to buy tables, at events at other schools and other things that they want to go to, and what do? They use school district money. I heard that somebody's kid goes to McSwain, and they bought a table at a fundraiser and put Merced Union High School District placard on there because the money came from the high school district. Didn't come from his pocket. So, there's the cavalier mentality. And then, how dare you ask me? How dare you question me? How dare you? Oh, it's ridiculous.
We're doing it for the children.
Well, like I said, we hired a superintendent, not a god, not an emperor, not a dictator. And the board and the superintendent have to work together. It's called the governing board, folks, and the superintendent is just as important as the board members. And the board members are elected for their expertise. I can guarantee you Dr. Walsh on the Merced City School District Board has the expertise to know how the board should be ran, to know how the district should be ran. It should be a cooperation. And in this particular instance, there is a division. We don't know all the reasons, but I can see some of them that are public. And we just want accountability. That's all we ask for.
Yes.
That's all we ask for.
Amen.
Speaking of accountability,
are we coming up to our second break, Steve?
We are. We got about a minute.
One of the things we like to do is talk about the city council and what's going on over there. They had a very interesting presentation last Tuesday. Of course, they were off Monday for the holiday. They had an interesting presentation Tuesday of the city budget. I can tell you it's bleeding red, folks. Expenditures and expenses are neck and neck. There's not a lot of wiggle room. And again, we hear time after time that we need industry, we need jobs, we need these things. And we're going to, when we come back after the break, we're going to talk about some of the missteps the city and the county have taken recently in reference to the $100 million milk powder processing plant that Hillmark Cheese is going to open up again in our neighboring county of Stanislaus, not Merced, and why we're doing this. We're also going to talk a little bit about the state budget, what Governor Brown, his thoughts on the budget, and water. So I think we'll be right back for our final segment. Stay tuned, folks.
Look, we're back. Hey, we're back. Welcome back to Citizen Watch here on this beautiful Thursday evening. Casey, take over here, will you?
Yeah, let me just talk a little bit, folks. So I was talking about the city council meeting last week, and very, very interesting presentation by city staff on our future finances for the next 5-10 years. We've heard from the mayor, Mayor Thurston, who was the mayor that was elected last November, that in 60 months we're out of money. And let me tell you, after seeing that presentation, it's true. Our expenditures and our income are neck and neck. We don't have any wiggle room whatsoever. We're going to have to make some really tough decisions about services, about priorities. And I know the mayor wants to get an ad hoc committee together of citizens, similar to what they did on the fee reductions they did for development fees, and let the citizens and the people decide where we should privatize, what services we should discontinue, what services we should add, and more pointedly, how we're going to pay them. One of the things that states are doing is they're taking on more obligations faster than they can find the revenue to pay for them. And this is a problem in all facets of government, whether it's state government, local government, or federal government. And as you know, Jerry Brown, our illustrious governor, came out with his State of the State speech today, and he said there's a stark warning of things on the budget surplus. He says we shouldn't spend it, we should put it away for a rainy day, and we need to understand that the lean years are going to be there. Now, I want to equate what Governor Brown said to water. You know, we're facing a drought of epic proportions, and if we don't plan for the future with water, then we're going to find ourselves without any, as we're finding ourselves now. We hope for a March miracle. We hope for some rain to come, but we really should be spending our money. Should we be spending our money on a high-speed railroad, or should we be spending our money on dams and impoundment? Should we be spending our money on things that are going to solidify our future, which is agriculture?
Right.
And
but Casey,
I think, yes.
The thing is you're absolutely correct. And it's the same thing with my argument with the high school district. What they're doing is they're chasing money, but we get federal money, but we're getting money from the federal government for the choo-choo train. We're getting money from the state for that new high school. So let's spend what we don't have so that we can capture that money. And the thought process is flawed.
And another thought process I think is really flawed at the government level is they're reactive instead of proactive. They don't address a problem until it becomes a problem.
Well,
and
this
that's
is
the
one
type
of the things I want to bring it to the local level. We all read in the paper where the Hillmark Cheese plant is going to open a $100 million plant to process powdered milk. Guess what Merced County #1 agricultural product is?
It's milk. Milk
Yeah.
to the tune of $1 billion a year.
We've heard from leader after leader. We've had Mike Murphy. We've had the mayor. We've had Josh Pedroso come in for the city, telling us that we have a state-of-the-art wastewater treatment plant with enough capacity to handle industry. Guess what, folks? It's a lie. We don't. We can't process the waste that comes out of the Hillmark plant because we don't have a settling basin, an anaerobic digester. Guess who has one? Turlock. Stanislaus County. Now, were they forward-thinking to dig a hole in the ground to process this water? I think they were. Where are our leaders? We heard John Carlisle and Nate Davenport, the hand-wringers for the homeless, get up in the meeting last week and said, oh, you ran off the people from the UP estates. We can't count all the homeless. We're not going to get the HUD money. Well, let me tell you, Mr. Carlisle, you were the only dissenting vote against the Walmart distribution center. You won. They're not coming. They're never coming. And if you want to get homelessness and you want to get poverty, which once again, California, number one in poverty, Merced County ain't far behind, we need jobs. We need those manufacturing jobs. We need Hillmark Tees. We need Blue Diamond. We need the Walmart Distribution Center. We don't need the UP Estates. And I'm glad they tore it down. Nobody at the city would take credit for it. They asked the city council, well, who directed Norm and the troops to go out there and raise hell? Nobody wanted to take credit for it. I'll take credit for it.
You are?
We've been a clarion call for this to happen for a long time, and it's about time it happened.
Hallelujah, Casey.
If our future is going for HUD, you're wrong.
Well, you know what? I was having coffee with the gentleman who owns some property over there, and he said that that who did it was UP, was upset with them hanging out under the trestles, making it unsafe. They were afraid that they're walking across the tracks, they might get hit by a train. Of course, guess who would get sued? Okay, sure. And he asked, did I know anybody at the city level that can clean up his property? So what I did, now I'm not saying that he did this, but I said, hey, go talk to Frank Quintero. He can point you in the right direction. Next thing I know, they're cleaning his property, and the UP Estates is gone.
Yeah, and I think we need to clarify that we're not cold-hearted.
You are.
The homelessness.
You didn't invite me over for Christmas.
Homelessness is a tragedy, and there's a lot of people out there that have mental and substance abuse problems, and they need help. And we want to be a community that helps them, but we can't get into this paradigm where we create an environment that attracts homeless people and become that becomes our moniker.
Right.
That, everybody congregates in Merced County because they know that it's the place to be if you're homeless and things like that.
Yeah, they're cool with it.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of what I told Casey. I said it's like bird seed. You want to feed a couple of birds. The next thing you know, you turn around and you got a nation of pigeons in your backyard.
Absolutely.
That you can never
my heart goes out to them, and I drive through it every day, and it just makes my stomach hurt because I think it's literally, for some of them, it looks to me like hell on earth.
Yes.
I mean, it's just it's tragic. But there's other citizens in this community. There's people that get up every day and go to work and try to make this place. They want to contribute and make it better, and they have compassion for the homeless. Mm-hmm. But we do not want to become the homeless magnet of the state of California.
True. And I said, we want to make Merced cool. And the whole point of the matter is it got UP Estates, we didn't want it. It's gone. It'll probably spring its head up somewhere else. But I'm not for, I'm like you. I'm compassionate. My mother loved the homeless people. The people in Chicago, what they would do is they hustle you for work. And so what they do is they don't ask you for money. They say, can I take your groceries to the car? And my mom would let the people who needed money take groceries to the car. She'd give them $5. Yeah. And
it kind of comes to perspective, because you look at it and some people will look at the homeless issue and will say, how can we get them more money from the government? Others will be, how can we create an environment where these guys can find a job?
Right.
These guys can work and contribute.
That's the whole point.
That's the whole point.
Like I say, we have Davenport and Carlisle up there. Oh, you're running them underground. You're making them hide. Well, we're not going to get the HUD money. That's not the answer, folks. Everybody that says federal money, it's not money, it's not state money. I pay 2 tax returns, federal and state. They both come out of the same bank account, the same wallet.
Right.
So
it's
it
us.
is our money. So to sit there and say, we need more government money, we need to suck off the government teat more and more and more. No, how about some private jobs? How about some industry? How about some manufacturing? Merced County produces more milk than we know what to do with. Guess what? We're going to ship it north to be processed. You want manufacturing? We lost it. Why did we lose it? The mayor has told me he's been after this settling basin for years. But what's our priority? Sending a truck out to sell kiwi fruit?
Oh, wait.
And I think that speaks to the term we always use here is the lack of vision from our leaders. Not being able to look down the road.
The valley of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. We have a lot of one-eyed, myopic people there.
Well, yes, and then what they do is they get a letter. Should we go into that?
Yes.
They get a letter from Allison. No, it wasn't from Allison Cole. Let me see. She's the superintendent of Snelling Merced Falls School District. It was actually Karen White, a 4th and 5th grade teacher. Now,
This is a feel-good story. I mean, it's a feel-good
this is
story.
a real feel-good story. It really is. But it has nothing to do with make someone happy, okay? And here's what
and folks, if you remember, that's the program that the state awarded some people here $170,000.
Anna Pagan had $170,000 to run a food truck program around the.
And the theory was to send out fresh fruits and vegetables to what we call desert islands.
Right.
And this is pertaining to that.
So anyways, John Pedrosa read...
I thought it was desert islands.
Okay, so anyways, John Pedrosa read this thing. He comes in touting it. Look at this, look at this, look at this. So they give it to me. And I go, it says, to the board to make someone happy. Now, folks, this is a tearjerker. It really is. But what does this have to do with the function of make someone happy? I teach at Snelling School with a special fourth grade student in my classroom, Angel. Angel, an autistic boy, is enamored this year with trucks. Trucks of all kinds makes his head spin, literally. Our classroom overlooks the school parking lot, which borders Highway 59. Each day, when Angel finishes his work, he asks if he can watch trucks out our classroom window. Angel has surprised us with his artistic talent. He could see a truck pass by once and draw it accurately from a point of view that suggests movement. Angel loves trucks. In his words, trucks are awesome. On Friday, September 22nd, Snelling had his first visit from the Make Someone Happy truck. I took my class to the parking lot for an introduction to the weekly community program. Angel was awestruck. Then, to our delight, Jerry, your driver, was sensitive to Angel's interest in the truck. He asked Angel if he'd like to climb up into the cab and try out the driver's seat. Angel is wary of new situations, but after a little coaxing, he climbed up, and he had quite a thrill. Last Friday was our second visit from Make Someone Happy, and Angel had been anticipating this and had drawn a collection of trucks for the occasion. One of our teacher's aides took over my class so I could take Angel out to say hello and give Jerry one of his truck drawings. When Jerry appeared, Angel's eyes lit up. What he hadn't expected, though, was that Jerry had a surprise for Angel. In his gracious and thoughtful kindness for the special boy, Jerry held behind his back a gift for Angel, a detailed model semi-truck. Make Someone Happy has fulfilled its mission even beyond wholesome food. Certainly for us at Snelling, it has. We appreciate that you're bringing fresh local organic produce to our community, and we also appreciate the very special gift that it brings. Now, folks, that is a great story. God bless Jerry. That was just awesome what Jerry did. But John Pedrosa says, look, Make Someone Happy's working. And I'm like, what? You have an autistic boy that loves trucks. It could have been a dump truck. It could have been a garbage truck. It didn't make a difference what truck.
Yeah, I don't think we're necessarily going to use that as a measuring stick as to whether or not this program is successful.
But this is where
I understand.
Our blind leaders, our board of directors, our board of supervisors goes, look, this is a great story. It is a good story.
And what we probably more would rather know is how much produce we're selling off it. You know, are we having putting an impact on childhood obesity? Because that was the intent of the program.
Yeah, how much asthma are we spewing out because the thing doesn't have a diesel exhaust filter?
Wait.
As far as I know, the truck's illegal after January 1st. But,
hey, that was my question to you.
Supervisor Walsh, since he sits on the Air Pollution Control District, could speak to that.
Casey,
yes, Robert?
What does Angel, Anna Pagan, and the Board of Supervisors all have in common?
They don't know what a diesel exhaust filter looks like.
Nope, but they know what a truck is.
That's right. Well,
and you know what, Angel?
Trash day is probably pretty exciting over there for Angel.
Angel, God bless you, kid.
Too, when they dump the dumpsters. But, you know, that's all we want, folks, is accountability. You know, where are our dollars being spent, where they aren't being spent? You know, Anna Pagan can get $177,000 shoehorned in for a food truck after reading How to Spend Your Money in Government Weekly, but she can't get payments out to foster children at Christmas, to buy clothes, to buy food. She relies on these foster families to give their goodwill, which, let me tell you, if you're a foster family, you've got a lot of love in your heart to do something like that and take those kids in, because there's nothing but a problem when you first get them and you're trying to show them love that they have never seen before. And all they want is a couple of $100 from Anna, and she doesn't have the time. She blames it on the furloughs, the government shutdown. You know, those are indirect jabs at a political party. Do your job, Anna. Do your job. You know what the cards you were dealt with. If you can't do it, get out and let somebody else do it.
And another interesting thing I'd like to point out again is, and this is conceptually from at all levels of government, is not only after we earmark money for a project, but we have to determine how we're going to determine whether or not it was a success or not. And what I found quite interesting is when we did have the opportunity to have Ms. Pagan in, and I asked her that, she said that after the program is over, they're going to hire someone to come in and evaluate whether or not it was a success.
Yeah, it's like put the cart before the horse.
And this is nothing personal. It's just the way our government thinks is so ass backwards that the only way I think we're going to really get their attention is when we cut the trough off, when we stop giving them those half-cent sales tax hikes, when we stop giving them the bond floats, and they have to deal with what they have.
Now, is this just me, or do I think this is absolutely ridiculous? We complain about the schools. So why don't we go look at a school like Modesto High School and mirror what they're doing? They're a huge success.
I think we're trying. I mean, that's the message I got from Mr. O'Neill and Rod.
No,
Roger.
they're not. No, not at all.
Well, I think while you were talking about that, they were saying we're trying.
Yeah,
we're
okay.
It, you know?
If you're trying, you're lying. Okay, here's the other situation. Why doesn't our city leaders go to Turlock and say and look and see, what are you doing right? How are you stealing jobs from us? Remember what Mike Bolomini did? He had the yellow freight, was going to Manteca, and he steered it to Tracy, and that was the beginning, the seed that they needed to just be a pressure cooker for warehouses.
Yeah.
And the situation is, why aren't we going to communities? Hey, if I'm a city leader, John Pedroso, hey, you know what I'll do? Or Hub Walsh or Jerry O'Bannon.
Absolutely.
Let's go to a county that's really rocking and rolling and find out what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Well, this is what you do. You know, one in the hand, my friend, is better than two in the bush. Economic development was a key in the presentation at the city council meeting last week. If we're going to get out of the morass we're in, we need to make Merced and Merced County a hub for business and opportunity. These developers, Hendrickson needs to break suction up there on the third floor, get his ass out there and talk to our existing businesses, i.e. Hillmar Cheese. Hey, you're planning an expansion? What do you need? Oh, you need a pond to settle milk waste? Guess what? Maybe we'll pry some of that patronage, that political patronage, that re-election slush fund money out of the supervisor's pockets, run a couple of extra scrapers we have at the dump, and build a pond for you.
There you go.
No, nobody goes out to the existing people we have and say, how can we help you? How can we expand? You know, it's great to look for new opportunities on the horizon, but don't forget the landscape you're sitting in. Lack
of leadership, lack of vision, and folks, we have an election coming up here in June, and we have another one in November. And just remember that. I think the common thread you hear through all of our shows here on KYOS is accountability, and we have to start holding these people accountable for the way they spend our money. And if they will not be held accountable, we got to cut the flow off. We've got to cut. Kelsey gave us the answer. Hey, if you don't like it, they got a raise retroactive to July. Tell me one good thing that's happened in that county since July besides a food truck.
She found gold.
She gave us the answer. It's an election every 4 years. Because, Miss Kelsey, we got the message loud and clear.
She found gold.
Case, we're out of time, buddy. Take us home.
I want to thank everybody for listening to Citizen Watch with Robert Tomasetti, Casey Steed, and Steve Colvard. And Robert, what do we say when we leave?
Goodbye. Arrivederci. Good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.
And God bless America, and God bless Merced County.
Feeling patriotic.